So as you guys know, I've been doing so many Samsung Galaxy S10 comparisons. I know you guys are sick and tired of them, but I know there's just a handful of you guys who are interested in the brand new newest flagship phone and how it pretty much holds up against the older flagship phones. And what's interesting about the Samsung Galaxy S10 and the iPhone 8 Plus comparison is that technically speaking, the iPhone 8 Plus was not the flagship of the time, but it's still considered a really great iPhone and just a really great phone overall. And interestingly enough, the iPhone 8 Plus is one of the iPhones that are still sold within pretty much all the Apple stores across the world, whereas the iPhone 10 is not even sold across the Apple stores, and many other iPhones aren't either. So I figured this would be a pretty decent comparison. You know, the iPhone 8 Plus costs a bit less than the Galaxy S10, I will definitely say, but I will also add that if it's between both of these phones, and if you have an unlimited amount of money, I would almost probably recommend the Samsung Galaxy S10 because, you know, it is the newest phone, it has all the newest features and all that stuff, but it's that probably that when I say, you know, you should upgrade or not, I'm not like pushing for it. I don't think it's necessarily worth the money to upgrade, but I'm kind of just saying that let's go ahead and take a deeper analysis look on both of these phones and see which one you should buy. Now, looking around both of these bodies, I'll be honest, in the hand, they almost feel exactly the same, and of course I will have to give the edge to the Samsung Galaxy S10 because it looks way better than the iPhone 8 Plus, but I will say in the hand, the iPhone 8 Plus and the Galaxy S10 have glass on the front, glass on the back, and they also have this really high premium feeling chassis of the phone as well, so when you're holding it in your hands, in terms of the way they're going to feel, they're pretty much going to feel almost exactly the same, but I will probably give the edge to the Galaxy S10 because it kind of just gives it the facade that it feels better and just looks better overall because of the bezel-less design that it has. So kind of like a little fugazi right there, whatever you want to call it, but that is kind of an advantage for the Galaxy S10. Now, looking at the screen sizes themselves, the iPhone 8 Plus has a 5.5-inch IPS panel, it's 1080p, and what I've told you guys hundreds of thousands of times, the iPhone 8 Plus does not have a bad display at all, and I think I credit that and attribute that a lot to the True Tone display that the iPhone 8 Plus has. Many other iPhones have that too now, but that's something that Apple really nailed down, and I don't really talk about it too much because it's not really a fair advantage, but when I'm comparing a phone like this to a Galaxy S10 that has an AMOLED display, I kind of have to bring that up even though it's more of a software thing. The Galaxy S10 has a 6.1-inch dynamic AMOLED display, and that one is 1440p. It has a higher pixels per inch as well, 401 on the iPhone 8 Plus, 550 on the Galaxy S10, and what I will definitely say is that in terms of the display, the Galaxy S10 does have quite a bit of an advantage just because of that AMOLED factor. If Apple just put in AMOLED screens in all the iPhones from the beginning with, that would have made the iPhone so much better of a seller, and that's kind of a dumb thing for me to say because the iPhone sold too many devices, like literally they sold crazy amounts, so I'm just some kid that's just saying this so I'm an idiot. Apple definitely knows way more than me, but I'll say that if it's between AMOLED or IPS, I would almost always pick AMOLED, so without a doubt the Galaxy S10 wins there. Interestingly enough though, between both of these devices, even though the Galaxy S10 is the brand new device, it technically has more ports than the iPhone 8 Plus. You know, we only have one Lightning port on the iPhone 8 Plus where we have the USB Type-C port as well as the headphone jack on the Galaxy S10, so that's a pretty big upgrade right there in terms of upgradability and everything, but the iPhone 8 Plus does have a solid fingerprint sensor on the front, where the Galaxy S10 has a inbuilt fingerprint sensor, so a little bit of difference right there. I think I almost prefer Touch ID 2 on the 8 Plus than the screen fingerprint sensor on the Galaxy S10. I've played around with both of them quite a bit, and that's pretty much the consensus that I've been able to find, but I will probably recommend you guys to go into a store and kind of test it yourself, but in my opinion, I think the iPhone 8 Plus has the better fingerprint sensor, but I like the Galaxy S10 because it kind of pushes more forward, like inbuilt fingerprint sensors in the screen. Like that is so crazy, and I can't believe I'm even saying that out loud. So technology is moving pretty fast. I will give the Galaxy S10 probably the advantage though because it's kind of more future proof in that sense, and it's just way cooler. So that kind of covers up the hardware aspect of it on the outside. In terms of the software and the inside, the Galaxy S10 has Android Pie through Samsung's One UI, which is basically their new TouchWiz, and it's expected to get a couple more versions of Android, you know, and as far as I know, it's not going to outlast the iPhone 8 Plus, which so far has gotten 2 versions of Android, all of iOS 11 and all of iOS 12. If anything, in my opinion, I think both of these phones will probably end at the same time. So the iPhone 8 Plus will probably end on probably iOS 15 or iOS 16, give or take. Whereas I could see the Galaxy S10 lasting at least like another 2 versions of Android. So it'll get Android Q, it'll get Android whatever that dessert they name it after that. And I think it's going to stop there. Now Samsung could go and turn over a new leaf like they did with their software in terms of the longevity of it and actually increase the lifespan of their devices, but that is something they're going to have to figure out. I have no insider knowledge. If I did, I would go and expose them right now, which is probably a good reason why I don't have any insider knowledge of these companies. So without a doubt, I think the software is not going to last out one another in terms of both of these phones. They're probably going to end around the same time. that's kind of a good thing for the 8 Plus, also kind of a bad thing for the Galaxy S10. You know, you're paying such a premium for a Galaxy S10. I spent almost $1,000 on my phone, and the fact that it's probably going to be outdated in just like a couple years kind of makes me feel a little sad, but I guess it is what it is. Now that kind of covers up the software and the hardware. Let's go ahead and talk about the inner hardware and talk about the actual performance of this device. So the iPhone 8 Plus has the Apple A11 Bionic chip, an hexa-core CPU, and 3 gigs of RAM, where the Galaxy S10, there are a couple of different variants of it, but it has the Exynos 9820 octa chipset on some, and a Qualcomm Snapdragon 855 on most of the other ones, an octa-core CPU, an Adreno 640 GPU, and 8 gigs of RAM. Now here's the interesting thing, okay? By me saying those specs, you would probably assume that the iPhone 8 Plus is 30 times slower than the Galaxy S10, that the Galaxy S10 just beats in everything else and it's just completely just obliterates it. And I will probably tell you, and you might be surprised, that yes, I agree with you. The Galaxy S10 is a faster phone, okay? Without a doubt, I've tested it, and you can see my test that I'm doing right now. The Galaxy S10 boots up games faster, boots up apps faster. Can't even say that. It's pretty much a faster phone overall, but the iPhone 8 Plus is still a very, very fast phone in my opinion, okay? We're comparing an Android device to an iOS device, and because of that, iOS takes less RAM management, it takes less power to run and operate at the same speeds of a Galaxy S10 or an Android counterpart. So for those 8 gigs of RAM that you have on a Galaxy S10, you probably only need like half of that on an iPhone to kind of match its speeds. Now, in my opinion, I think the Galaxy S10 is faster than the iPhone XS, but without a doubt, between the iPhone 8 Plus and the Galaxy S10, it's definitely faster on the Galaxy S10, but it's not as fast as you would expect it to be. That's kind of the best way I can put it. The Galaxy S10 is a fast device, but the iPhone 8 Plus is also still a very fast device. It's not up to par as the Galaxy S10, but if I were to tell you, if the Galaxy S10 was a 10 out of 10 perfect performing device, it was the fastest thing in the market, the iPhone 8 Plus would probably be like an 8.5 out of 10. There's really nothing that tells me like it's an extremely slow device. My iPhone 8 Plus is still one of the fastest phones I've owned, and I would tell you in terms of performance, in terms of gaming, in terms of everything, as long as you're not comparing them side by side, you probably won't notice that the iPhone 8 Plus is slower, quote unquote. And when I mean by slower, I don't mean that it's the slowest thing ever. I'm talking about that it's slower than the newest phone that just came out that cost way more than it, so of course it makes sense. The Galaxy S10 isn't twice as fast as the iPhone 8 Plus, so in terms of performance, I'll definitely say the Galaxy S10 wins, but I don't think it's as clear-cut as it is. I think the iPhone 8 Plus is still a very fast device, and I don't want to take anything away from the iPhone 8 Plus at all. So with all that being said, the Galaxy S10 definitely wins in terms of performance. Now, moving on to the camera, this is a kind of a mixed bag because in my opinion, I've always liked Samsung cameras. Of course, I like iPhone's camera. My main phone is an iPhone, but without a doubt, Samsung really knocks out of the park with their cameras. They just overexpose the photos, but overexpose it enough to where they're not exposing it as much as you think. I know that's a kind of a riddle, but without a doubt, Samsung really makes some really nice hardware for their cameras. The iPhone 8 Plus though has 2 cameras on the back. It's a dual camera setup. They're both 12 megapixel sensors. The main sensor does have optical image stabilization, so that's a good thing. You can do 4K videos at 60 frames per second or all that good stuff. It's a very good camera. You've already seen me use my camera before on it. It's a very solid camera. The Galaxy S10 though has 3 camera sensors on the back, 2 12 megapixel sensors and a 16 megapixel ultra wide sensor. 2 of the sensors do have optical image stabilization, so that's an amazing thing. And without a doubt, I will definitely tell you that most probably the Galaxy S10 has the better camera here. It's kind of hard to tell. I'm not even a photographer, but I think the Samsung Galaxy S10 definitely wins here just because of not only the extra camera sensor and all that good stuff, but I do think Samsung does a really good job at the mix of camera quality and software. But here's the extra thing with the software is that they put all the camera features from their settings straight into the camera app, and they've been doing this for as long as I can remember. Whereas Apple, they hide all the camera settings in the settings app, which is so annoying. You have to click there, then you have to click camera, then you have to go to a completely different app in order to even mess with the camera quality and the camera settings, which is annoying. And I think Samsung kind of wins here by default because they make it so much easier. So not only is the hardware better, but the software is better for the cameras too. And hopefully with iOS 13, Apple actually goes and fixes that because that is a super annoying problem. In terms of the front cameras, the iPhone 8 Plus has a 7 megapixel sensor, the Galaxy S10 has a 10 megapixel sensor, and really the biggest difference might be that you can do 4K videos on the Galaxy S10 sensor, where you can only do 1080p on the iPhone 8 Plus. At the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal. I don't really think, like, front cameras are front cameras. I don't think anybody's like freaking out about them too much. One thing to keep in mind though is that with Snapchat, which a lot of you guys probably do use, knowing my demographic, every time I open, I might make a separate video about this too to bring more attention to it. Snapchat sucks so bad on Android, and the Galaxy S10 is no exception. Whenever I use that front camera on it, I'm like, man, like I still own my Galaxy S10. Like I didn't even return it. Well, I was trying to, but whatever. Androids pretty much suck on Snapchat. They need to fix that. That's such a big problem. But that's for another video, like I said. In terms of the camera quality though, I would probably give the edge to the Galaxy S10. Again, if I were to put in numbers, if S10 was a 10 out of 10, I say that all the time, the iPhone 8 Plus probably like an 8.5, maybe like a 9 out of 10. Really, you're not, as long as you're not comparing them side by side, you honestly will not care. And that's probably the best way I can put it. Now, moving on to the battery life, the iPhone 8 Plus has a 2,691 mAh battery. The Galaxy S10 has a 3,400 mAh battery. And yes, the Galaxy S10 does have the better battery life overall. Just to kind of answer that question, I don't think battery degradation has happened too much on my specific iPhone 8 Plus. I'm still over 90% in battery health, so that's definitely a good thing. But one thing to keep in mind is that the Galaxy S10 has such an amazing feature that not only is the battery size bigger, and the software, I would say it's a little bit more optimized than TouchWiz was before. So I'll definitely say the software is better, not necessarily better than iOS, not at all, but it's getting there. So the Galaxy S10 definitely has better battery life and a bigger battery size. But the coolest feature of it is that you can actually reverse wirelessly charge other devices as well. So the iPhone 8 Plus, for example, has wireless charging. So does the Galaxy S10, but you can actually charge an iPhone 8 Plus from a Samsung Galaxy S10 where you cannot do that vice versa. So that is a super amazing thing and a huge advantage of the Samsung Galaxy S10. And again, the Samsung Galaxy S10 wins here in terms of that as well. And man, the way I would just sum this up overall is that if you currently own an iPhone 8 Plus, I wouldn't really see the need to upgrade at all. I mean, I would look at the Samsung Galaxy S10 features and I would envy the people who have it. But me, myself, I would just be like, I would be envious for like 10 minutes and I'd be like, okay, whatever, like it doesn't really affect me that much. The iPhone 8 Plus is still a very, very awesome device. Of course, the Galaxy S10 is better in a lot of different ways, but I don't think if you currently own an iPhone 8 Plus, you should go and upgrade. So that kind of answers that question. That probably answers like 20% of people's questions. The other question is, well, what if you don't have either of these? And what I will tell you is, if it's not an iOS versus Android thing, you just kind of want to go just do whatever, I would say go buy an iPhone 8 Plus in the used market, preferably on Amazon, to get it certified refurbished. And I'll leave a link in the description. I'll go on that in a second. I would probably do that. I would keep that for maybe like a year or two, whatever, because iPhones tend to keep their value a little bit more than Androids. So the Galaxy S10, I've already made several videos talking about this, but the depreciation is hitting it like crazy and it's already losing like hundreds of dollars worth of value. If you want to go get it brand new, that's on you. I don't have anything wrong with that. I bought mine brand new, but I think you might be better off buying an iPhone 8 Plus and then like keeping it for a couple years. You'd lose less money, and I think it's a better value per dollar than the Samsung Galaxy S10. And another thing to keep in mind is that the iPhones of this year that are coming out, and of course next year as well, they're supposed to be gaining a lot of the features that the Galaxy S10 is dropping. So you won't necessarily be missing out on too much for long periods of time. So kind of to sum up, if you want to buy a Samsung Galaxy S10, go for it. I'll leave a link in the description. I'm all for it. Go buy it. But I do think that the iPhone 8 Plus is still a very solid device, and I see absolutely nothing wrong with it at all. And if you were to upgrade from an iPhone 8 Plus to a Galaxy S10, I'd be severely curious and overly voluptuous on that decision. And that's pretty much how it's summed up, alright? Voluptuous is not a word, I'll be honest, I made it up, you guys caught me. But if you want to buy a Samsung Galaxy S10 or an iPhone 8 Plus, I'll find the cheapest prices on Amazon, I'll link them straight below. The Galaxy S10 is probably still going to be $1,000, but at least you can buy it through Amazon and you can help out the channel at the same time. So buy anything you want through those links, that'll help out the channel so much. Hit the like button though if you guys enjoyed the video, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it would mean so much if you guys could hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well, my Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel, all those links are linked down below. I would really appreciate if you guys could check it out. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.